everybody. Welcome to All Things Aviation and Aerospace. I'm Vince Mickens with the Private Air Media Group. Got a really special show today. I'm in a kind of a unique location, and I have a special guest host, and I'm just really looking forward to what we're going to be doing. So first, I'll tell you about the location. We are actually at the RedTail Flight Academy up at Stewart International Airport, up north of New York City, and about an hour and a half north. And we're literally in the classroom. You'll be able to see behind us, there you can see behind us the simulator. That's a Redbird simulator, and so we're in the mix, so to speak. And then I have a really special honor of having a very special guest host all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, Refilwe Ledwaba. I'm not going to roll that R.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. Refilwe is the executive director of the Girls Fly Program Africa in Johannesburg. She's here on a business trip, and we had a chance to catch up. And so I was like, well, let's kill a couple of birds with one stone. You can co-host with me, and we'll talk a little later about what you're doing in South Africa. And then we can talk with the RedTail Flight Academy and the great things that they're doing and exciting things that are going on. So let me move on and introduce everybody that's here. And so I will start by introducing Tanya Austin. Tanya is the operations and safety manager here, and she's also the one that helped me coordinate all this and pull everything together so we have these neat backgrounds and put everything together here at the RedTail Flight Academy. And she kind of makes everything flow smoothly, and that's very evident. Plus, she's been very hospitable with us, all kinds of goodies, and just looking out for us. So really appreciate that. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. It's
a pleasure to have you. And then we have a couple of the instructors here. Actually, we have one instructor, and that's Maya Coley. Maya is a CFI, or Certified Flight Instructor. She's also a CFII candidate, meaning that she'll eventually have her instrument certification that allows her to teach students to fly on instruments. And she's also the program manager assistant, also here at the RedTail Flight Academy. Maya, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you. And Maya has the fun of sitting in the Redbird simulator, which we have on right now as part of our background, but she's actually sitting in it. And Maya, you teaching that, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, as well as taking people up in airplanes. So this is great. Then we have Marvin Mungo. Marvin is a student pilot. He's a 2022 scholarship recipient from Middletown, New York. And Marvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, how's your flying going?
I haven't started yet. I started in November, but I'm very excited.
Oh, you're getting ready to?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now that's about as new of a student as you can get.
Yeah.
Hadn't even started yet. We have Mischa Harrigan. Mischa is a private pilot, and she's a 2022 scholarship recipient who is working on her instrument rating, and is from my neck of the woods. She's from Waldorf, Maryland. I'm from Maryland, and we found out that we're almost neighbors. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
It is great to have all of you guys here, and I really do look forward to talking with everybody about what RedTail Academy is and does and that type of thing. And again, Refilwe, it's really cool to have you here. So Refilwe, she's sitting here all cool. She's a pilot. She's fixed wing and helicopter, but she really loves helicopters, so we have to call her a rotor head. And
I like that.
And she loves that. And she actually flew for 10 years flying helicopters for the South African Police Department.
Yep, police services. Yep.
Police services, and is a big time advocate of getting young people, particularly young girls, into aviation. And she does that with her program, and she's involved in other things. And so it's again really cool to have you. But I'm going to go to Tanya first. And Tanya, how about giving us kind of an overview of the RedTail Flight Academy?
Thank you. The RedTail Flight Academy is a product of the Lee A. Archer Jr. RedTail Youth Flying Program, Inc. That program was started 24 years ago. It was actually kicked off with Brigadier General Charles McGee and the namesake of our local Tuskegee Airmen chapter, Major General Irene Trial Harris, and our director, Lieutenant Colonel Glendon Frazier. This program is to continue the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. It is also to help alleviate the deficit, the oncoming pilot shortage, and to diversify the sky. That is the whole purpose in a nutshell of the RedTail Flight Academy.
So that describes it really well. Tell us what you guys are currently doing. For example, you have classes starting with a new group of students, and tell us a little bit about that program.
Yes, we do have our new class, and Miss Mischa Harrigan is one of our students here. As she's mentioned, she's already a private pilot, but she is a scholarship recipient to get her instrument rating and hopefully to get her commercial rating. Part of session 1. Our scholarship window application is also opened for the next upcoming sessions. We offer everything from getting the private pilot, the instrument rating, the commercial rating, and we also have a maintainer's license or an A&P scholarship with the local community college here, where we're offering those scholarships as well. We offer mentorship for the young aviators that come here, whether it be on the national stage, going to conferences such as MBAA, NATA, NAA, and basically all of the platforms out there available in aviation nationally.
Wonderful. So that's a good cue for me to go to Mischa. Mischa, tell us a little bit about how you even got started in aviation. You know, when did you start having an interest in it, and then started taking lessons and going for your private?
So from a young age, I've always been interested in aviation. I grew up with military background. Both my parents were Air Force, so we used to always go see the air shows and see the planes take off and land. But it wasn't until the end of high school when I started like thinking about my career choice, because it never occurred to me that this is a career that I could actually pursue. So I went to college, and then in 2020, I actually got a chance to take a discovery flight. Mr. Ferguson Evans, he let me fly his plane, and from then on, I was like, this is what I want to do. This has to be it, you know? So that's when my interest really started, and that's when I started taking my career really serious in this.
So tell us a little bit more about what you want to do. What's your goals? What direction are you trying to go with? So your next step is your instrument, and then
Yes.
I take it you want to go after your commercial?
Yes, so I want to get the commercial certificate or commercial license by the end of the year. And then next year, I want to focus on getting my CFI, CFII, and being an instructor. And then the long-term goal is to be a commercial airline pilot.
Or a corporate pilot?
Yeah, I'm open to all the options, honestly.
That's just me being facetious because I'm a little biased on that.
Yeah, any option really.
But you just want to fly, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing. I just love flying a lot, so any job.
Excellent. How about you, Marvin? Tell us a little bit about you're getting ready to start your training and everything. But where did the interest come from, and how did that all start with you?
So my interest, I was always going on vacation at a young age, and I would see the pilots, and I was always interested in that, but I never really saw myself until I went to high school and I found out about the Lee A. Archer RedTails program. And I decided to join. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Black people are flying in the air. I've never seen that before. I never saw that for myself. And then I found out there was an opportunity that I could fly, so I hopped on that as soon as I could. And then after I graduated from high school, I went to SUNY Albany. I graduated from there this past year. And I came back because I found out I had a scholarship opportunity that I could apply for, and I did, and I got it. And I'm here to get my private and try to go all the way up to commercial to finish what I started in the high school program.
Yeah, you graduated from where in Albany?
SUNY Albany,
Okay.
University at Albany.
Yeah, and what did you study?
Sociology with a minor in criminal justice.
Wow. But you want to be a professional pilot now?
Yeah, yes, I do. And I also want to go into law school. I want to focus on aviation law. I want to get my JD.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's great. Maya, how about telling us a little bit about you? And you're a flight instructor here at the RedTail Flight Academy. So tell us about that and about your background.
Yes, so I'm Maya Coley. I'm from the south side of Chicago. My aviation journey started by accident, and I give credit to my mom for that. My freshman year of high school, I signed up for a program just to get the free snacks. But I put my mom's information down, and the program coordinator, Gigi Coleman, actually contacted my mom, and my mom made me go. That was the change of that was a big change in my life. It showed me something I didn't know was possible. I didn't even know what a pilot was at the time. So it definitely exposed me to a new lifestyle, and it took off from there. I volunteer in several organizations back home, and I knew aviation, being a pilot, is what I wanted to do. So I applied for several scholarships, the RedTail Flight Academy being one. And I am now a certified flight instructor, soon to be certified flight instructor instrument. But that's a little about me.
Cool.
Wow.
Refilwe, you're supposed to guest host with me, and
Yeah.
I'm hogging. So I'm gonna
right?
I'm gonna relinquish. You're sitting right seat, co-pilot. So let me let you co-pilot.
You know how it is. Co-pilot, we wait for the captain, hey? To give permission.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're embarrassing me. Did you want to ask a couple questions?
Yeah. Tanya, I would like to come to you because I think it's quite important what the school is doing here. How important is the scholarship program, especially when we talk about diversity?
The scholarship program is absolutely critical. Minorities across the board make up less than 5%. And to hone in on those numbers more accurately, Black men make up 3.9% in the airline industry. Black women make up less than 1% in the airline industry. Globally, we all know that aviators only make up 1% of the entire population, but the numbers still look the same as they did back when the Tuskegee Airmen were flying, and that's devastating.
It is. Wow. And I mean, listening to Maya earlier saying that she didn't know anything about aviation, and I'm glad that you guys take it a little bit further as well by having programs to introduce young people to aviation. Can you tell us more about that as well?
Yes, we actually, under the Lee A. Archer RedTail Youth Flying Program, which Marvin Mungo is a product of, we actually start with second graders. And we have a program every Saturday morning where these second graders are actually introduced to all things STEM, but there is a focus on aviation. We have young rock stars like Maya Coley that go out and actually teach these second graders every Saturday morning. We also have a Monday night program where not only Miss Maya, Miss Mischa will also be teaching that class. Marvin, he will return back to where he started, and he will be teaching those high schoolers. And then, of course, we know about the 18 to 25-year-old scholarships that are available.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is. It's amazing, and it's a great program, and it's offering young people an opportunity to really get into this industry and everything. I wanted to go back to you, or I'll go to you again, Tanya, and ask you a little bit more about the school in terms of, what your aircraft are and things like that, and give us a better idea of that you guys, what you have here at the facilities.
Absolutely. We have Piper Pilot 100I aircraft. For the general aviation community, you might know that aircraft as a Piper Archer. This aircraft it's equipped with all glass. It has a Garmin G3X Touch screen there, so that once these young aviators get ready for industry, they don't have to switch over from a round dial or steam gauges. They can automatically go into these all glass cockpits with effortless ease. We have 2 of those at the time. We hope to get more. Those were unveiled at Oshkosh 2021 as—
Yeah, I was there. It was pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Brigadier General McGee was there too, at 101 years old. So, but he flew when he was 99 and flew again when he was 100. So who's going to catch up with that, right?
Could all only hope.
Yeah. Maya, tell us a little bit about the Redbird simulator, and also about how much time you spend with your students in simulator versus in actual flying an aircraft.
Yes, so we have a full motion Redbird flight simulator, and we use our flight simulator for all students, starting student pilot all the way to commercial. And the goal for our simulator is to get an idea of what you will be doing in the plane. The RedTail Flight Academy, yes, it's a scholarship program, but we try to make it cost efficient for all of our students. So to start our training, we'll come in the simulator, we'll demonstrate what we will do in our actual plane. And the cool thing about our aircraft is we can put all situations and scenarios into the simulator. Like Mischa, she's a instrument student, so we make sure that she's able to understand the instruments that she will see inside the actual aircraft, put the weather, adjust the weather, and put any factors that will be in the airplane into the simulator, so it's not a shock or something completely new. It is full motion, so you will get the feel of it, and it's just something we use to demonstrate what our lesson will be.
Yeah. Tanya, on your website, you guys have some specifics about being a scholarship candidate. And I noticed that there are a few things that really caught my attention, that you're required to have a first class. Well, let me let you kind of go through it, but you have to have first class medical. And I believe you have to have taken your private ground school, the written exam. Is that correct?
That is correct. The idea behind both of those things, first of all, we want you to get that first class medical so that you don't get heavily involved and invested in this and find out you get to the big dance and you can't get in because you don't have that first class medical, you can't pass the medical. That's the first thing. The second thing, as far as the testing is concerned, this is an accelerated, it's a 141 program. It goes very quickly. So you will get ground when you get here, but the expectation is for you to have that written out of the way so we can hit the ground running. You have these scholarship offerings are in 6-week increments. So it goes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wanted to go to Mischa quickly. What has been the exciting part of your training so far?
So for me, the most exciting part is just switching over to an all glass cockpit. It's very different from the steam gauges, but it gives me a sense of what it's going to be like when I actually become a professional pilot. So that's just been the most exciting part to me. And also just learning an instrument too, like aviation, you're continuously learning new things. And that's just something I like to do. Just nobody knows everything. You're always learning in this industry. So that's every day is exciting for me.
So I want to explain to everybody, steam gauges don't really have steam. The steam gauges are the old-fashioned instruments that pilots use for a very long time, but now with the Garmin and the computerized screen, touch screen and things like that, it brings it into the current. And of course, for this generation, you guys like the ease of being able to do that. She looked over at me like, don't put me on blast. But it is. It's different. Although I think you learn a lot from the steam gauges because of the limitations with them. It's very basic type of a thing. And speaking of that, so when you were doing your fixed wing flight training, did your aircraft basically have steam gauges?
Oh yeah, for my private, steam all the way.
Steam all the way. So, nothing fancy, right?
Nothing fancy.
So while I'm with you on that, tell us a little bit about your background. So I really want you to tell us the story about how you got started, because you aspired to be an airline pilot and you started in a very challenging way, you know, to pursue that.
Yeah, and I'm just listening to both Maya and Mischa, you know, similar background where I didn't know that aviation was a viable career choice as well growing up. So I actually didn't start off wanting to become an airline pilot. I started off wanting to become a doctor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and by chance, just like Maya, I was exposed to the aviation industry, and I was set on becoming a fixed-wing pilot, with the aim of becoming an airline pilot.
Was that because that was pretty much all you knew in terms of aviation?
That's all I knew. That was sort of a limitation on its own, because that was my exposure at that time. I was a cabin attendant, cabin crew at that time, and I worked for an airline. So the only thing that I saw then were airline pilots. So that's all I wanted to do. But I had you know, one of the challenges that I had was finance. And in those times, they didn't have as many scholarships then as before. And I used to fly like an hour a month to get to my 200 hours. And it took me about 4 to 5 hours to get to the airport, taking 4 taxis and walking a couple of kilometers to actually get there.
And these are commune taxis, basically, because it was like everybody shared a taxi, right?
It's like,
it's not like you got your own taxi.
No, it's so
like
the taxi,
almost a minibus.
Yeah, it normally takes 15, but they will load another 5, so you have like 20 people.
20 people in the 15-person vehicle.
Vehicle.
And
so,
an hour to get there?
Yeah, so a couple of hours. So it will take me like 4 hours or so, and then I still have to walk to the airport. But I utilize that time to study for my exams, my private pilot exams. So I used to like walk around with my books, and I'll sit in the taxi and just study for my exams.
So you maximize your time.
I maximize my time,
yeah. When did the rotor wing come into play?
So rotor wing, it was by chance as well, because I wrote 200 letters to a lot of companies requesting for support and funding and scholarship. And 3 companies actually responded for that. The first company said to me, we like what you see. We can see that you've done science and you're good at math, but we want to sponsor you to become a helicopter pilot. And I looked at them, I'm like, no, I want to become an airline pilot. The second company, same thing. Then with the third company, I said, you know what, I need to be very smart here. So I said to them, would you pay for both my rotor and fixed wing? And they agreed. So that's how I went through the selections for the South African Police Services, and they agreed to pay for both. But immediately when I started flying helicopters, I knew I wasn't going to fly, you know, aeroplanes. Yes. But, and the reason why I wanted to be an aeroplane pilot is because I didn't know more about any other careers within the aviation industry, or that there are a whole lot of other, you know, within being a pilot, you can be different pilot, corporate, police pilot, military pilot, you know, and for me, that was exciting. I thought when I joined, I thought I'll stay for like 2 years and then transition back to the airlines. I stayed for 10 years.
10 years, exactly.
10 years.
Yeah. So, and there are parallels between what you have experienced and what you do now in South Africa to what the RedTail Flight Academy has started doing here.
Yes.
And one of the big parallels is giving young people an opportunity.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your Girls Fly program, Africa, and what you do with that.
Yeah, there's definitely some parallels. And I think what I also resonate with what they're doing and what I like they're doing, it's building a pipeline. Because it's all good going out into the community, wearing uniform and saying you can become a pilot, but knowing very well how expensive, and from my own personal experience as well, how costly it is, and you know how some of the in South Africa, for example, some of the previously disadvantaged due to the history of the country will never be able to afford the training. So I like that pipeline that they offer. And that's exactly what Girls Fly program does. We introduce young girls to the world of aviation. I think Tanya spoke about the statistics earlier. And if you look at globally, the statistics are like that. and then you go to South
Right,
Africa.
they match up globally.
It's,
The same as here.
It is
yeah,
here in
the
South
United
Africa.
States,
Yeah.
and the same as
In South Africa as well. So the statistics are dire, where we actually need to do something, not just show up and tell them that they could become something, but actually build that pipeline, make sure that the scholarships are available, the support is available. She spoke about mentorship, which is quite critical. And especially if you're not from an aviation background, just to integrate you to the system. We know that aviation can be a little bit closed family kind of thing. We like saying things, everyone sort of know each other. So if you're sort of an outsider, I don't mean it in a bad way, as in an outsider, it's quite hard. So providing that mentorship, providing those networking opportunities, I think it's important and it's critical. And that's exactly what Girls Fly do. And that's exactly what they do as well.
RedTail Flight
Yeah,
Academy does. Yeah. And speaking of that, Tanya, you come from an aviation background. You come from the airlines. Tell us a little bit more about that and actually how you even got into aviation.
Well, I didn't know anything about being a pilot, but definitely not even a flight attendant. I used to, as soon as I graduated high school, I just wanted to travel. I came through DFW airport so many times that the people at the airport started to say, you should think about being a crew member. And I'm like, oh, what's crew? And from there, I started off as a flight attendant. I did work with Delta Mainline, traveling the world. And I had an injury unrelated to work. And when I was told that I couldn't fly anymore, it literally did something to me. And, coming from a family of merchants, I never cared about anybody's job. But I really got the aviation bug at that point. And that's when I switched over, got my private pilot's license and instrument and started working towards helping everybody I could with all of these other nonprofit organizations while getting myself to where I needed to be as well.
Yeah, wow. Maya, tell us what it's like to be a flight instructor, what you like about it, what your experiences are with your students and stuff like that.
Yeah, being a flight instructor is a surreal moment for me. It's something I couldn't have imagined. I recently received my certified flight instructor certification in March of 2022. So March 2021, I didn't imagine me being a CFI. It's always been a goal for me to be able to give instruction, give back. In Chicago, I was a program instructor, taught kindergarten through high school about aviation and aerospace, but I wanted more. It's always amazing to share knowledge, but it's a bigger thing where I can sign somebody off and give them time, because that helps them get to their dreams. So it's been an amazing experience so far. My first students in the airplane were actually high school students. So it's interesting.
And you look like you're still in high school.
I know, right?
So how did that work?
Yeah, it's definitely, I love it because I didn't have a flight instructor that was my age when I started my private pilot. So it's amazing because I found aviation in high school and now I'm able to sign people off who are in high school. So it's a full circle moment right now.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Marvin, we don't want to leave you behind. Exactly. I think the ladies have been having. Yes, it's quite interesting that you studied sociology and criminal justice, and you wanna go to law school. So how do you see yourself combining that aviation side and law school?
Which is very doable,
Yes, very doable. Just having like the background and knowing how the planes work and the experience of being in the aviation culture, I feel like I could bring a different perspective to a law space in the field of aviation, going to different commercial companies like JetBlue and all the other companies like that. So just being able to have a different perspective, being an inside man who's actually been a pilot before. So I feel like that could be very helpful in the law profession.
No, absolutely. Actually, aviation law is something that a lot of people that are interested in law aren't even aware of. That, but it's like anything else. everybody needs a lawyer. Well, let's hope not, but you know what I mean. No,
Yeah.
but all companies have lawyers, have general counsel, and aviation companies are no different. So your manufacturers to your just every kind of company, your airlines, et cetera, they all need legal advice and that type of thing. So that's really cool. So for you, it's really knowing a lot, actually being in the trenches and knowing about it to apply it to your other interests.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I mean, which is quite interesting. What we were talking about earlier, that a lot of people don't know how diverse the aviation industry is. That you can, we also talk about just only being a pilot, but there's a whole lot of other careers that you can go into and still be in the industry. And I mean, being an aviation lawyer is one of those.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Tanya, you're really passionate, as we all are, and you got bitten by the bug, and we make it sound like it's almost a disease or something, but the love for aviation, the passion that we have, it's just the way it is. For you though, I see, I've just met you, just started to get to know you, but you seem to really take a personal interest in seeing these young people that we're talking to on the show and other people that are here at the Academy and their progress and their growth and their pursuit of aviation.
Well, I appreciate that, and it is true. The thing about it is, I couldn't even imagine seeing a young Mischa or a Maya. Maybe rarely I would see a young Marvin out there in the aviation field, but few and far in between. So it is my goal, just like this entire organization and our director, to make sure that we bring as many people and introduce them to any aspect of aviation that they are interested in. And even if they don't know, we host summer camps, we have open houses, we have all types of things so that we could try to bring as many people into this industry. If you want to be a doctor, think about being an aviation medical examiner. If you want
or
to
flight surgeon
or flight surgeon, you are a techie, then maybe think about being an avionics technician or maybe working at NASA. There are so many different possibilities, as you all have spoken about, and we just want to make sure that people of color are introduced to that, no matter what it is.
Yeah, you guys have been focused on flight training, but I thought I saw something that you are making plans to add the aviation maintenance to your program.
Yes, we have 3 scholarships available right now. We are co-opting.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we do. We're co-opting with the Dutchess Community College. We hope to add dispatcher ratings to that as well. And every student that comes here, they get the option to do sometimes more than one internship that usually leads into, gainful employment.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your director, Lieutenant Colonel.
Our director is a very special person. He born in Jamaica, and he is better to tell the story, but he always tells us about being an 8-year-old boy outside playing and seeing what he did not know was an airplane. And he asked his mother what that was, and she told him it was an airplane and it takes people, from place to place. And he said he knew from then that he wanted to actually become a pilot from 8 years old. He eventually came here to the United States, grew up in the Bronx, and joined the military, but only after he had reached his goal of becoming an actual airline pilot. He has been with United Airlines for 37 years. He is a Czech airman with United Airlines, flying the 777 aircraft, 24 years at the Air National Guard, retired lieutenant colonel, and just an exceptional person. Every moment that he has, he gives to aviation. And everybody tells a story. We are calling his phone 24/7, and sometimes his wife and the other wives that are involved in this, they're all a part of the journey as well. as far as sometimes they'll help us with the dispatch, following the students, making sure they're fine. He goes out and he tries to help everyone in any way that he can. He's been doing that, like I said, 24 years in this community. And the funny thing is that he went to high school with a young lady and later met a gentleman, Lee A. Archer Jr., and realized that that his classmate, his high school classmate, was the daughter of an airman. And it takes him to tell the story, but it changed his life when he found out about the Tuskegee Airmen, as it has done for many of us.
Yeah, and I understand you guys are up for an award in another month or so. Tell us about that.
Thank you for that. Aviation Week has an annual laureate award ceremony. This year, the RedTail Flight Academy has one in the business sector. So we will be in Washington, D.C. November 3rd to accept that award. And a little bit later on, the RedTail Flight Academy, a few of the instructors set a world record coming back from Oshkosh, and will be going to accept an award there for that as well.
Wow, amazing.
Nice. Wow, that's really cool. So you guys have really enjoyed having Refilwe here from Johannesburg, South Africa. And all you guys have been asking a million questions. And I'm just going to flip the script right now and let you guys ask a question of Refilwe that you're sitting there curious about, because I see the curiosity in all of you. So shoot, any one of you.
On the spotlight.
Maya, can you go first?
Yes. So I've never been to Africa, so I don't know what your experience was doing your flight training, but were there people in the training who were like you, Black women, and seeing us, young aviators, how has that made you feel today?
Yeah. I'm gonna answer your question from the last part of the question. When I came in and I saw you guys, it just made me one of the happiest person, because it's really awesome to see a lot of young women, people of color, getting to this level. When I started, there were not a lot of us. In fact, I was the first Black female in South Africa to get a helicopter pilot license. So you can imagine that when I started as a police pilot as well, I was not only the first Black woman, but the first Black person, African person to join the police force as a helicopter. No male, no female, no other female. So I know the path, and I have been there. It has been challenging, but I've always looked at the brighter side and focused on people that were there to support me, which were actually quite a lot, because sometimes, when you're starting out and there's just a few of you, you can sometimes see only the negative side. But only when you start focusing on the positive people, that when I started, focusing on the positive people that were there, I found out that actually 98% of people wanted me to succeed. There was only probably one or two. And that there's made, there's always one or two. Yeah. So that actually helped me in not really being conscious of being different to everyone else because of the kind of support that I had. But I had some other interesting challenges that had nothing to do with, the way I look, but my physique. For example, when I was flying helicopters, I used to weigh 46. I know I've picked up quite a bit now. I used to weigh 46 kg. Now to fly and do your solo flight on a helicopter, you need to weigh 60 kg. So you can imagine every day when I rock up for my flight, I had a sandbag with extra 20 kg. Then I had two cushions. I had to put one, sit on one and sit one at the back so I can reach the pedal, and my flight bag. So my every flight was like, my solo flying was an event, because of that. So
how's that for determination?
I know. Yeah, but it also talks about, designs. I mean, those aircraft were designed a long time ago, where an average person was, the average person that they used for, for ergonomics, how you reach your pedals, was a man, a tall man, long, and those things are the things that we're now looking at. How do we make sure that even the design change? So diversity on its own is good, but inclusion we cannot be going around carrying bags or anything like that. So it goes back to even the manufacturers where we start having, we are having now, flight test women, flight engineers or test or aeronautical engineer, and you start seeing the changes. I mean, if you go to an airline now, you don't have to sit on a cushion, you go up and down, but those things have sort of in a way taken time. Because of how they designed spaces, long time ago. So one thing that I liked as well about, the RedTails is the fact that they cater for a demographic that wasn't catered for, not only diversity-wise, but inclusion in a way that you need to understand the context of where the person is coming from and the challenges. So in that way, you're able to take them up, things like mentorship, which don't necessarily happen in traditional schools as well. So I think, I probably have answered your questions, right? 2 of them.
Does anyone else want to take advantage of this opportunity to ask a question directly to Refilwe?
I got a question. Yes, I was just saying, so when you first started with fixed wing, right? It was fixed wing?
Yes.
All right, yeah. So
yes.
How would you say the transition was to rotorcraft? Like, did you get accustomed to it easier, or because I was interested in actually going into rotorcraft too, but yes.
Yeah. So I have quite an interesting story with that transition. So, so when I transitioned, certain things were easy. Obviously, I could speak on the radio. I wasn't really overwhelmed in the air. There was not a lot of things that were happening because already I had my private, my fixed wing private license when I started my helicopter. But I struggled with hovering. And you know what hovering is like? It was it's such a highly coordinated maneuver, but I struggled because of 2 things that, people would never even expect that would actually impact the way I flew. It was because of the way I was sitting, one of them. So culturally, when we were growing up, they were telling us as young women to sit with your legs crossed, or your legs pressed like this. So like your side leg sits right in between your legs, and then you've got it squeezed like this. So you're flying with your legs, and I couldn't hover because of that. And so the helicopter will move from one corner to the other. And it took one instructor going up, and it's like, Refilwe, open the legs. It sounds funny because you don't want a man to be telling you that. But in actually fact, it was one of the challenges that made me struggle with actually hovering the helicopter. And the second thing as well, because it's a highly coordinated maneuver. Before I started flying, I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't know how to ride a bike as well. So I've never done any coordination, anything. Up until I got into an aeroplane and eventually a helicopter. So there was a little bit of coordination that needed to be developed. And lucky for me, one of my instructors saw that and took me up and just, did some coordination exercise. And which again comes back to the understanding the context of where a person is coming from and what their struggles are. It wasn't because I couldn't fly, but there was just some of the things that were there that prevented me to progress as quicker as I should have. But the moment I overcame that, I was gone, finished, quicker than, most of my peers, yeah.
Mischa, so you have an interest in learning to fly a helicopter still?
Yes.
Yeah, you should pursue that.
Yeah.
We'll have an offline conversation about it.
All right.
I fly both. I'm not certified in the helicopter, but I have a lot of experience with it, and I just think they're both great. So I'm kind of divided with it. But that's great that you. Yeah, I'm a little biased.
I've never flown a helicopter or been in a helicopter even, but I just love seeing them fly, like how they just. Even the one right outside the Flight Academy, I'm just like, oh my God, that's so cool.
No, they are actually, I know there's a lot of airplane pilots in here, but they are actually cooler than,
there we go. They're cool. They're okay. Just kidding. Marvin, how about you?
So I wanted to ask, what was your experience as a police helicopter pilot? Because I never even thought about that as a career path. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah. flying for the police was very versatile. We did a lot of operational flying. So, most of the flying, helicopter flying, some of them it will be like sort of takeoff and then you take people somewhere. But with helicopter flying, it was a lot of low-level flying, chasing cars in South Africa. We did a lot of that. I was based at a unit where the Drakensberg it's closer to the Drakensberg. So we used to do a lot of search and rescue, which is very challenging flying in the Drakensberg because it was high altitude. So it affected sort of the effectiveness of your tail rotor and all the, so very challenging flying there, and the winds change all the time. So it's challenging but exciting as well because you learn a lot from doing that. And one thing about helicopters as well, even after 10 years, every day was not the same, especially for the police flying, because you come to work, you can get called out for anything. You can get called out to go and hoist, to go and sling, to go and chase, we had operations as well where, a lot of variety, specialized operations. So that's the difference between, I would say, most of the, let's say if I had to compare it with airline flying, where yes, every day is not the same, but some of the things stays the same. But whereas with helicopters, even that takeoff, it's not the same as the previous one. It's very different, but very exciting as well. The skills that you learn because of another thing, the hazards, because you're flying very low, you've got wires. In the mountains, you've got those rotor turbulence. And so you can't say, oh, I'm going to go higher to avoid that, because you need to work, at that low altitude. But yeah, when you get out, you would have done a lot of things that really improve the way you handle, especially stick and rudder. And it makes it a little bit easier as well to go and fly other things when you want to, because you're used to actually physically flying that aircraft.
Do you fly with a co-pilot?
No, in the police, you don't fly with a co-pilot. So once you're signed out as a commander, you are the commander, and we fly with what we call an airline, an ALO, it's an air law enforcement officer. So they're not pilots, so they operate the the flare camera and
Are they, so who's looking out for the wires and everything?
So
is that solely your responsibility?
Yeah. So mostly we both are looking out for the wires. So they will say wires and then just that communication. But mostly it was a single pilot operation, the police operation, where you have to do everything, like looking out for the wires, the poles, while you're chasing, because most of the time they'll be on the radio trying to talk to the guys on the ground or operating the flare camera. But where they really came in as well was when you have to land in very confined areas, and sometimes you don't see where your tail is, so they'll sit like sort of on a skid and sort of guide you, come too forward. So you sort of like give trust, like 100% trust to them, because you can't see at the back.
Right.
But sometimes you really have to land in a very, very confined area where you can just go in. So yeah, that was quite interesting as well.
Mischa's over there going, helicopters.
Yeah.
As soon as I get my instrument, my commercial, I'm gonna go rotor wing.
Yeah.
Tanya,
yes.
So your CFI and your students have had a chance. How about you? What are your, do you have any questions for, because you also have been having quite the conversation with Refilwe.
We have been chatting away. It is an absolute honor to meet you, and I'm so happy that you're here. My question is, if you could give a bit of advice to these young aviators, and even myself as an aviator, what bit of advice would you give?
Yeah, I think one advice that we've as well just discussed is just to be open-minded, especially in the aviation industry. So sometimes we all set on what we want to do. I want to be an airline pilot, and sometimes we do that because maybe you don't know any other carriers that are sort of that are available. So continue exploring. So it doesn't mean that when you've just started an hour, that's it. You're just going to go continue exploring. You might be surprised what you can discover, and you might be surprised as well that actually I want to fly, corporate, or actually I want to become like Mischa now. I can see a helicopter pilot. So just continue asking questions, being open-minded. talking to as many different people in the industry as possible. And the other thing that we also discussed earlier, the importance of networking. And the only way that you can meet so many people in the industry is volunteerism, you know, volunteering. Right. And I've had everyone on this call saying that they do volunteer, and that's the best way to network, because by networking, people will remember you. So when it's time for you to get a job, they already know you, and they're like, oh yeah, we've seen you doing something like that. So exactly, you're already building your career. Don't look at it that you need to get your hours first and then get out of there. From the first hour, you need to start, you know, getting out there and putting your name out there. Obviously the good things, not the bad things, and, you know, giving back, and people will remember that as well. So I think those are the main ones that I would think of.
Yeah, that's a great question, Tanya. And I'm going to actually throw it to you, Maya, and ask you, what kind of, with your experience with what you do now as a flight instructor, if you were talking to, and I'm sure you have, to people in high school or even college that are interested in aviation, thinking about pursuing it, what type of advice would you give?
I don't want to copy, but yes, it's the have an open mind. Or a lot of the advice I give is to just try it. It may not be your interest, but you never know until you try it. So just try it. Ask questions. That's my biggest thing. A lot of people may have an interest, but they're too afraid to ask a question. And all questions are good questions. So I always say ask questions to all of my students.
Marvin, with your interests that expands beyond aviation, you have, you know, you think you're planning on being an attorney, etc. What about you? What would you say to young people if they were asking your advice with what you're about to do on the aviation end, and just in general with your perspective?
Again, I don't want to copy. Just look at all the different avenues you can take, and maybe some of them can be connected. You could literally do it all, really. There's nothing stopping you. There's no barriers if you really put your mind to it.
So straightforward. How about you, Mischa?
So my advice, well, obviously, yeah, the same thing, but just seeing how people get, like when I tell them that I'm pilot, seeing their eyes light up, and then how they would never think that this is something that they can actually do. I'm like, just go for it. I'll have customers where I work come in and they'll be like, oh, I'm too old. I'm like, you're only 40, you're only 50, even 60s. There's pilots that are well over. And so there's no age limit for people either. So that's my advice. Just go for it. If it's something that you want to do, take a discovery flight and see how you like it. You'll know if it's for you or not. Just to say you just tried it and, you know, experience that.
And Tanya, I'll throw it back at you. You have seen a lot. You've done a lot. You've been around the aviation world for a long time. You have worked with young people. What would you put out there?
Well, this is something that I've said to Ms. Mischa and Ms. Maya, and I'll say it to Mr. Marvin as well. Something that Refilwe said earlier is that she reached out to more than 200, or was it 300 different groups or companies. She got back 3 responses. But from those 3, it started off a fabulous chapter that has gotten her where she is today. Please use every resource available to you. Please apply to these scholarships. Maybe you get 50 no's and you get that one yes, and it could literally change your life. That's coupled with everything that we all would like to copy and say, yes, network, you know, be in the airport environment, and just utilize everything that is available to you and help someone else that may not know. Please help them and introduce them so they can turn around and do the same thing for someone else.
That's perfectly said. Refilwe, you know, I interviewed you about a year ago, over a year ago. And one of the things that I remember that you were, that I noticed about you and remembered it from that time and moving forward, is that you've always been an advocate about getting other people, when you were still working your way into the industry and trying to figure it out yourself, you were already thinking about how can I bring other people into the industry, specifically girls of color. Tell us about that and your inspiration for the Girls Fly program Africa, and the things that you're doing to advocate, because she's all over the place, man. She's in the United States, she's all over the continent of Africa, particularly in South Africa, etc. And it's always about advocating for getting, you know, people of color into the industry.
So I want to just take you back a little bit to my background, all the way back. Okay, do we have time? Yes. No. So I really had even though I had to take 50 taxis to some, but I really had a privilege of growing up with really strong, powerful women and educated women. My mom was a teacher, single mom to 7 kids. And there was a doctor in our community, but there was something else in that community.
You kind of brushed over that. Single mom to 7?
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And we like 2 years.
On a teacher's salary.
Yeah. Okay. So that was quite interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. But she used to study, like she was studying while having kids. So I grew up thinking that books were normal. That was number one. Number two, she did a lot in the community. So she taught music in the community. She was a choir, a conductor. So she did a lot. And the one doctor that we had in our community, she was also female. And she built a community center. So when I grew up, I thought it was normal for me to be exactly like to be educated, to go to school, but most importantly, to give back, because that's what we did when I was growing up. So my reference of growing up was a reference of when you get somewhere, when you move just one step, you look back and you pull somebody with, because I saw my mother doing it. I saw the other women in my community doing it. And for me, I see it as a privilege and, you know, something that has grounded me. And that was my inspiration on starting Girls Fly, because I had, you know, the challenge of finance that I've already mentioned. I had the challenge of not having information about the industry, because where I grew up, there were no pilots or anything like that, no reference at all. And it was normal for me, and it was natural to say, whoa, these are problems, they need to be sorted out. We need to make sure that, you know, when somebody decides not to enter the industry, it's not because they don't want to, you know, it's not because they don't know, but it's because they don't want to. So the power of information and the issue of money, you know, people shouldn't have to write 50,000 letters to get to where they are. And so that was the inspiration about Girls Fly program in Africa, going out, getting young people involved, but as well, just giving them a holistic, you know, support. Some of the girls that we work with, they come from really dire rural areas where you can't even access those areas by road, and we actually have to fly there, because sometimes there's just a long strip enough to land a caravan or a Kodiak. We'll fly the supplies, you know, the supplies there. And, you know, because you can go and tell them that they can become pilots, but if they don't have a pen or a paper to write with, so it's just, so we try to give that holistic approach. So because of that work as well, we've been privileged to be given platforms, and that's the reason why, you know, I'm here as well, been privileged to be given platforms to attend summit that I've just attended, that is organized by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's called the Goalkeepers. So they get all the change makers all over the world to the summit, and we talk about sustainable development goals, of which gender equality is one of them and education is one of them, and look at where are we as globally as well, and in our context as a country, where are we and what needs to be done to move that needle to make sure that there are women in technical field, well-paying jobs as well, not just any jobs, and as well the quality of, you know, the education, you know, that they get in, the quality of education. So which is, I mean, in South Africa, there is a lot of challenges in the quality of education. And that is the fundamental or the basics that these young girls need to be able to succeed in the future. So we have to, in a way, you know, sort out the grassroots level. So I've had like really amazing background in terms of the women that I draw inspiration from. And by just being one of the first, yes, it came with challenges, but it gave me a platform as well, because that platform I could use now to effect the change that I think should happen. And because of that platform as well, it elevated me to where people could hear what I have to say. So, and I always say, when you have a voice, speak for, you can always speak for other, for other people.
Yeah. So you were here for another conference that really didn't have anything to do with aviation, but right? Yeah. But because you looked at me like, but back in South Africa, there is a kind of an expo going on.
Yes.
That your group is involved with.
Involved
Tell us
with,
about that real quick.
So the expo is called an Aerospace Africa Trade Expo. So they have Defense and Trade Expo. So the expo, they've got all the countries all over the world coming to showcase some of their defense equipment or aerospace equipment there. And part of that as well, they bring high school students. So this week they would have brought about 5,000 to 10,000 high school students to be able to come and see some of the equipment all over the world. I know the US Air Force as well is participating in that expo. They've got aircraft on static display in there. So a whole lot of other countries. So it's a good opportunity for young people to also come and see what is out there and get inspired. So my organization is running workshops. So they're running a space technology workshop and a drone technology workshop as well. And just really guiding the young people and working with them around, showing them, what's possible. And yeah, I wish I was there with them, but we always divide ourselves so we can have sort of a maximum impact. But they update me and send me like really wonderful pictures, and I'm so proud of the team as well, of the work that they're doing.
Yeah. Tanya, as we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about what you guys. So what I'm thinking about is that people that are watching or listening to this program probably by now are going, okay, so where do I start? How do I get into this? How do I apply? How do I find out more about it? So can you share that with us in terms of if somebody is very interested, what the next steps are and how they can find out more information about the RedTail Flight Academy?
Absolutely. Thank you. If you are interested, please go to the RedTail Flight Academy website, which is redtailflightacademy.org. redtailflightacademy.org. There are 55 Tuskegee Airmen chapters across the United States. One of the prerequisites is that you be a part of one of those chapters. So if you haven't joined, please do join. And you have to have recommendation letters from people in your community as well as from your local Tuskegee Airmen chapter. Again, you go to the website, redtailflightacademy.org. It's to my left, but it will be to your right. And you just click on the green button there to apply for the scholarship. And we also take donations. Everything that we have here, including that beautiful simulator that Maya is sitting in, is a product of a donation. Please go to our website to donate. If you can't donate, please tell someone about the RedTail Flight Academy. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. And that's how you find out about us.
Absolutely. And any closing comments that you'd like to share?
Well, my heart is filled. It is an honor for us to meet Refilwe here today, and for her to be able to meet our young aviators. Very excited. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this interview today. And we are looking to working with you both in the near future, hopefully.
Absolutely. Refilwe, any closing comments?
Yeah, no, thank you for the invitation. This was absolutely.
She was really excited when I said, hey, you want to go up and see the RedTail Flight Academy? And we were going to do an interview. And I said, I'll do the interview with you, and I'm probably going to do something with them. But, she was just really excited, especially when I told her a little bit about the background.
Yeah. And just meeting the young, aspiring aviators. It's amazing. And, I'm gonna be sharing this record with some of the young people that I work with. It's just been an amazing day, and thank you for invitation and as well for having me here. And I just wanted to add, I think we were talking about earlier, that on my flight, the captain on that flight was Captain Teresa Claiborne.
Right.
So I was so excited when I was sitting and they were talking about who the captain was, and I was like, I have to see you. So it's really been an amazing time. As much as I've been in the aviation industry for 20 years, I still get inspired when I see, women of color at that level, because I think I haven't really as well reached my level as well. I still have a way to go, and just meeting you and just getting inspired. Thank you for the day, and thank you for letting me co-host.
Oh, well, I had you on the show before, so I knew you were a natural with it. In fact, I was just hoping you wouldn't steal the show from me. No, but no, it's been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have you. I'm glad you could be here. Not only be here in New York for the other things you were here for, but to come up and visit the RedTail Flight Academy, co-host with me, and meet these amazing young folks. And speaking of that, so Maya Coley, again, a CFI, working on her CFII, meaning Certified Flight Instructor Instrument, and our candidate for that, and also the Program Manager Assistant. Wish you the best of luck with everything, with your career, and appreciate you sharing with us your background and what you do for the RedTail Flight Academy. Marvin, Mungo, man, you got a full plate. Yeah, you're getting ready to fly, but you're working towards being an attorney, etc. So wish you the best as well.
Thank you.
And love the fact that you're kind of doing a hybrid and figuring out a way to blend aviation with your other passions. So that's really, really great. Mischa, soon to be a helicopter pilot as well.
Hopefully.
The private pilot, and also a scholarship recipient, and currently working on your instrument, and probably eventually commercial. And then, as I said, and your homie from Maryland. Neither one of us are originally from there, but at least I shouldn't assume that. Are you originally from Maryland?
No, so I was actually born in Italy, and then we moved to North Dakota for 7 years, and then in 2007 we moved to Maryland.
Wow.
Yes.
That's Italy to North Dakota.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that offline. So anyhow, Tanya Austin, thank you again for your hospitality. I'd like to thank your director, Lieutenant Colonel Fraser, for allowing for this to happen on relatively short notice. And it's great to be here at Stewart International Airport, but it's particularly great to be here at the RedTail Flight Academy, seeing you guys have the Redbird simulator and all the things that you guys are doing and the growth you're experiencing. And you are getting a lot of support, of course. Well, I'm sure you're looking forward to getting even more, but I think that'll happen because of all the great things you're doing. And then the heritage or history factor regarding the Tuskegee Airmen and the legacy that they've left. And, my personal friendship with Brigadier General McGee and some of the other Tuskegee Airmen that I've had the privilege of meeting, all of this kind of culminates into what we talked about today. So it's really great to do that. Everybody, thanks again for being on All Things Aviation and Aerospace. My name is Vince Mickens with the Private Air Media Group. Thank you. All the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I wish the RedTail Flight Academy the absolute best, and look forward to catching up with everybody next time on All Things Aviation and Aerospace. Everybody take care. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Inspired by the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, the RedTail Flight Academy's mission is simple: to develop a pipeline of minority aviators for the future while building leaders for today.
Well, the mission is really to use the Tuskegee Airmen legacy to inspire youth towards aviation and aerospace careers.
Sponsors are critical to the success of the RedTail Flight Academy.
You want to impact a life? I am so excited about giving kids the opportunity to go fly, to have a career.
You have to be a leader. You have to have a full understanding of all the capability, physical aspects of the aircraft performance.
With your help, RFA will deliver outstanding pilots and leaders to an industry that desperately needs diversity.
The history of the Tuskegee Airmen is one of the most amazing and inspiring stories in all of aviation, in fact, in all of history. And today we're opening a new chapter. We're looking back for strength, but we're looking forward for opportunity. We want to give a new generation of minority people interested in becoming aviators the opportunity to do so. So today we celebrate a new aircraft, a new beginning for a new program, building on the strength of those who have gone before, including your father, Ian. So this is a big day for all of us.
We've got to get companies behind that, and we airlines and business aviation operations and commuters. There's 16,000 business jets.
We're looking for students that are deserving, that are motivated, and that need our help. They're from an underserved community, they're minorities, and they have a love for aviation.
Everything we do at the RedTail Flight Academy is intentional to this vision to build a new pipeline of minority aviators. We say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your talent. Thank you for your treasures.
Help us build our pipeline of aviators today. Click on the QR link or visit redtailflightacademy.org and donate today.